I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
We've got the game between Sixten Totzek out of Germany and Glenn Venance, and I have to apologize to Glenn right up front because either I pronounced his name wrong for the entire last game or I'm going to pronounce it wrong for this entire game because we've decided it's Venance. But I think he'll tell you, Jim, as long as you spell it right on the giant check at the end of the event, he doesn't care how you say it.
Yeah, exactly right. That's where it matters. Should be a good game. After doing a few games this weekend, and the ice conditions are super good. There's a lot of curl. Some of the teams struggle a little bit with the amount of curl, matching up weight and ice and whatnot, but should be exciting.
Yeah, it really becomes critical on ice like this to match up the weight to, and it's not just the takeouts. People think about that all the time, but you call a guard, for instance, and here's a case where starting things off, they didn't get it on the center line, but if you call for a tight guard and you ice for a tight guard and he throws it halfway, well, it doesn't have as much time to curl. It's off the line. I've also seen lots of them over curl the center line as well. There haven't been a lot of rocks actually touching the center line that I've seen in the games that I've done, and that matters when you're playing a no tick zone as well.
Oh, it certainly does, especially those last couple ends.
It's really tough to throw a precise guard because they move so hard as they're dying. It's real easy to over curl. It's really easy to over sweep. You're looking at a rock thinking, oh, this has got to curl, this has got to curl, we better sweep. And before you know it, it's out the other side.
Yeah, the other thing I found happening too is that there's very rarely a miss on the high side, whether that's a draw or a takeout. Any of the nothing misses on the high side. But just if you just go a little bit brain dead just for a half a second and don't throw it, or just let it go a little soft, you're just not going to touch it, and the sweepers are never going to be able to hold it.
Yeah. And that may have factored into this decision here. He could see most of that shot stone. It came out the other side, but it's still a free guard. And if you flirt with hitting that and happen to crash the guard, it goes back. So he's going to try to use his corner guard here.
Yeah.
Teams had a practice session before the game started and draw to the button for last rock. The Venance team throwing the yellow stones has last rock.
Yeah, their little check mark in there is just a little bit. Got the hammer indicated that it's for red, but it actually isn't a head of count there myself to figure that out.
Okay, I believe this is the second Magnus Suter, although I have to tell you, it's not. the picture doesn't match the face that I saw coming out. This is John Lucia Hag.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. We have him down as the lead, don't we?
He's listed as the lead, yeah.
He got promoted.
That's just enough to mess up the announcers.
Yeah.
Well, and we don't know. We don't have the full roster in front of us, but it's not uncommon for a lot of these international teams. They may, if they've got a 5-person team, they'll bring them all over and they'll play them all because they're here, right? You're here for the experience. You better make sure everybody gets on the ice.
Yeah, exactly.
Eric Colwell is the second for Venance.
It's a dandy.
The third on the team is Sebastian Robillard in the black backwards hat, and in the teal backwards hat, that would be the lead, Matt Tolley. Tolley does hold the broom for Glenn when Glenn's throwing.
He's a busy guy out this way. I understand he chairs the event in Penticton, the New Floors event in Penticton, and very active that way. And that's a big event.
I'm still trying to figure out who the brushers are on this Totzek team, because the faces I'm seeing don't match the pictures that I've got.
Yeah. Well, there's a good chance they're both suitors.
Yeah, unless there is a fifth somewhere. I think the third coming back on the left as we look at it, I think that is Joshua Suter. The other one, it might be Magnus Suter, but if it is, he needs an updated picture because he's got some facial hair now, and my picture doesn't show any.
That's right.
This will be a good chance, if you haven't been with us all weekend long, to see just how much curl there is here. It looks like there's only a thin piece of that rock available. He does not even need to get close to the guard to make this shot, depending on the weight he throws.
Yeah, you're right. It's been almost fascinating seeing how much they will curl.
That had tons of room, and then they were about to even switch the sweep, and it picked up that curl just outside the hog line, rubs the guard. Worst thing about that for the Venance team is didn't really move the guard very far, so that stone's still 2/3 behind cover.
Yeah, you saw Glenn sort of tap his chest there, indicating that was on him on that shot, and I'm sure he's thinking, "Why did I really didn't need to play it that close."
No, they were just about to switch the brusher. You could see Tolley bending over. So good opportunity here for the Totzek team in the first end. Try to put some pressure on. This is Joshua Suter, the third. Come around to the top 12 foot and comes out past the guard, so protects shot rock.
Yeah, good shot.
Glenn's first thought was to come directly at that stone, and I think might have been coming from the other end. We can't see enough of it to make a play at the double, so let's try the run back.
It'll be close. Whoa.
Oh.
That's painful, that one, yeah.
Just tickled the shot stone enough to make sure it's under cover.
So Venance, the good news for Venance is he does have hammer here, but the bad news is he might have an awfully tough shot for the first end here. Is he going to go right in? Does he really want to go right in on top of the...
Yeah, I wouldn't, but he does.
Yeah, that's
you kind of know with what they've got right now, they're probably going to look at the run again. I guess he's thinking if we throw the guard, probably they come down and freeze to shot rock. So let's not leave them that. Nothing wrong with this call as long as you make it, but you sure don't want to rub off anything here.
We've seen that happen a lot. This is a great shot.
Yeah, it is.
Sharp team. I don't know this team at all. I haven't really seen them before, but...
Well, the international teams have had a good event here so far. Coming through the A event, let's just talk about the 6 qualifiers we had. Reed Carruthers took one of the spots through the A event. Those A qualifiers were Friday night, last night. But the other 2 qualifiers to come through the A, we had 2 squads out of Japan, Takumi Maeda and Yusuke Morizumi. And through the B event, he had Evan Van Amsterdam, Trevor Bonneau, and then the other one, Anton Hood from New Zealand.
Yeah, you see so many more teams, European teams and international teams in general, that make the trip over, and you never really know what events they're going to be in, and they kind of spread themselves across the country. And the Japanese teams, I know last week in the Seville shootout that 3 of the 4 women qualifiers were all Japanese teams, and then 1 Korean team. So it was Final 4 of all Asian teams. So you just see them more and more, and the quality of play internationally has just gotten so much better. Many years ago, I mean, you and I'd be going back a while, Shawn, but technically those teams are all pretty solid, but you could usually just kind of beat them on gameplay, really, and that doesn't happen anymore.
No, yeah, they've learned the game.
Yeah.
Skip Stones here in the first end. Totzek sitting 3, looking to guard. Actually, we talked a little bit about the international flavor and who's qualified so far. There's actually a bit of a contrast. I was just looking ahead of the game to see how these 2 teams ended up in this matchup. Totzek actually lost a qualifier and a B qualifier.
Yeah.
And then had to sit. Like, those B qualifiers were scheduled at 12:45 yesterday. So he gets off the ice about 3 o'clock after the loss and sat for 24 hours. He didn't play again until the C semis today at 3:45, which is you're stewing for a long time after 2 losses in qualifying games. Won the semifinal to get into this game. Quite the contrast for Glenn. He loses his first 2 and then had to play this morning. This is his 3rd game of the day today.
It is, yeah.
But again, lost his first 2, had to sit, not quite as long. He loses yesterday afternoon and then had to play at, I think the draw this morning was 8:45. 8:45 was the draw this morning, but this is a long day. You're playing, this is your 3rd game of the day in what is, I'm assuming for this team, their first event of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of curling in a day, especially when you've been here for a couple of days and only played, a couple of games in those 2 days or 2.5 days sometimes.
And they're kind of hoping to play 3 tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody wants to play 3 on Sunday.
Yeah, everybody wants to win their last one. It's the nature of triple knockouts is kind of like that, though. They're, the curse of doing well in triple knockouts is you just don't play very much, but at the same time, that's not necessarily a horrible thing. But the qualifiers only played 2 games; they were all 2-0, and that's not a lot of curling. Almost a great shot there.
Yeah. Just a little strong, but they had to go to make sure they got by the first one, and I think they tickled them both, to be honest.
Yeah.
The tickle's not bad, though. If Totzek is able to make the hit, he probably has to roll away. Had you chipped the top one, you might have allowed him the chance to just hit and stay right there, and I don't know how you get in.
Yeah. Well, the good news for Glenn Venance is that if he can recall that weight on his next shot, which he may well need, he'll come out of this with a score, because that's right on the pin, basically.
Yeah.
And the other thing with triples is if you lose those couple games early, quite often you're playing and playing and playing and playing for a long time. But
well, you and I were talking about it a little bit just because we were spying on practice before the game started. And, for those of you who aren't maybe aware, maybe haven't been to these events, those teams that qualified through the A event all played last night, haven't played since, won't play till tomorrow morning. So as they were getting ready to start these games, those 3 A qualifiers all had a half-hour practice session. Well, I don't think he's going to roll away here.
No, I would definitely have preferred to roll it off for sure.
He didn't want to stay there. Had he hit it right on the nose, I'm actually not sure that Glenn could have nosed it back and be shot. I think he can now. He'll try to roll to the inside, certainly.
Yeah, I think you're right. As long as he doesn't roll outside at all, then
He's got no room to roll outside for sure.
No. But be careful. This is one of the ones that on this ice you find yourself throwing it a little bit lighter than. Well, he's not going to throw it light. I take that back. He's hiking no ice, so he's going to throw it down here pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. I know where you were going with that. It's one where you very easily could say, well, if I hit it anywhere on the inside, we're good.
Yeah.
But then if you underthrow it, here's the thing: the way it curls, you still have to get by that stone at the top of the 4-foot. You could hit it anywhere on the inside as long as you don't clip that one on the way by, because then you might spin off over the top.
Oh, you're right. There's not a lot of room. Not even a lot of room around the high one when you're going to throw.
No, true.
You better not get it tight at all. And it doesn't
he's
look
not
like
tight.
No.
He's back on the release, if anything.
I think he's going to be okay, though.
He's curling now. Should be okay. Makes the hit. Does roll in just a little bit, enough to make sure there's no doubt. Glenn Venance with last rock here in the first end picks up the single. It'll be Sixten Totzek with last rock in the second.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
What do you got? You got one, you got two, you got...
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Asham Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Asham Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at asham.com.
Glenn Venance with the single in the first end of play here in this C qualifier. Sixten Totzek with last rock as we begin here in the second. First stone, and we were just coming back as it was coming to rest. Let's put it this way. I'm sure they didn't call for it there, but I don't know whether they were looking for it in the rings or playing the guard. It's ended up over on the edge of the 8-foot.
Yeah, very, very good end for the German team, though. They made a lot of shots there.
Yeah.
Put a lot of rocks in exactly where they wanted to put them.
Would have liked a bigger roll probably with his last one.
I agree.
I was actually wondering if he had rolled to the edge of the 4-foot but stayed out in the open. What does Glenn do? Are you going to draw Cole to the button against 3 rocks in the 4-foot in the first end? Granted, he just made it on his first one, but if you leave that in the edge of the 4-foot open, he hits it, but then he has to roll to get shot rock.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know what I feel in my mind. I think he would have played a hit on that, on the one that you're referring to that would roll to the edge of the 4-foot. I think he would do that. Just it's fine to say, well, you just threw the other one, but
you're 3 rocks in the 4-foot. It's a little scary.
That's right, and there's no more to come after you're done. So,
and then it's always interesting to wonder. So where's the line? How far does he roll before he has to draw? It's one of those things. It's so interesting to look at all the possibilities. And of course, there's no right or wrong shot, whichever shot you can make. Not every team's going to play the same shot. Every team's got their own strengths and weaknesses, and they'll play to their own strengths as a rule. It's one of the nice things as a viewer, certainly, about the free guard zone rule. There used to be, and any iteration of it, but we're playing the 5 rock now, but it used to be before any of those rules, there was really a lot of times only one call. There was one obvious call. And now a lot of times there's 2 or 3 calls that you could make. And
That's right.
It's fun to watch how these teams want to approach it.
Good roll for the Totzek team.
Rolls to the back 12 in behind their own corner guard.
Yeah. Behind the T line, but that was going to happen anyway, so.
Yeah. And you still have to be careful with this stone. This is still just the 5th stone of the end.
This looks pretty good. It's got to come up a little bit more.
Makes the hit, does roll the shooter out of play. Now it was going to be back far enough that Totzek would have had his choice as to how he wanted to approach this anyway. It looks like he's going to make the play on the center guard. And the indication there, I think they're trying to keep the rock for a corner guard. This is not just a straight peel out.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Did you see that? There's that. I see that every once in a while. He had to check over his shoulder and make sure this.
Yeah. Just do it.
Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, we can hit this.
Yeah.
I don't feel so bad when I have to do that now.
No. He didn't get what he was looking for. It really just didn't really change anything other than the color.
Chance for Eric Colwell to come around now, and they do have to be a little bit careful. Of course, they're coming around from the wide side, which looks like the natural side. Is the easiest way to make the draw. But you'd hate to over curl the guard because you'd leave the hit and roll behind the corner.
Yeah.
Lots of room so far, nothing out of the brushers. Now they're sweeping for curl. You want to be careful with that. Now they're hoping it stops, and it will. Just dead in behind the guard.
Yeah, very good shot.
Those are so tough to sweep. You saw them again there on that one. They were looking to sweep for curl, and you have to be so careful because it's just so easy to take them out the other side.
And a little while to make the call on this one.
Yeah, and I'm a little surprised if he's going to look to make a play on it anyway, that he's not looking at coming through on the out turn.
Yeah, so he can use his corner.
Use his corner, yeah, exactly. And if you crash the guard on the way by, it doesn't really matter which side you came at it from.
Indicating there might be a little bit more.
Going to have to go to get by the front one. And I think the decision there at the end is if we're going to rub it, let's rub it hard enough to get out of the way. And they really didn't.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I wondered myself for a second what they were doing there. I thought they just maybe missed it, but I think you're right. It was kind of like, well, let's hit it harder.
Yeah, I think that was, he didn't want to just feather ticket, and they really still didn't do much more than feather ticket. Opportunity here for the Venance team. Sebastian Robillard, the third. Trying to bring it right down on top of their own stone now.
Worked out okay.
Yeah.
Got a little blast there. I had my volume wasn't, well, I don't know if it was on or not, but I didn't have any volume before, and all of a sudden it came on. It was on full bore. So
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
okay.
The system that we have, a lot of times, I'm going to give some secrets to the viewers at home. A lot of times, those of us in the announcers' chairs can't always hear the on-ice mics. I don't know whether you were able to hear it at home or not. And just all of a sudden, it came on for us.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from on ice for this event really. So it was kind of a bit of I didn't know what to turn off or turn down.
Hadn't heard anything on the ice since last week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can't really, like you said, we can't really make out anything that we're talking about usually in regards to strategy or anything like that anyway. But
no, but sometimes you can hear the sweep calls and the inflection in the voice, that tone, that can sometimes give you a sense of just how urgent the sweep calls are.
Yep. And if you're somebody who likes a little white noise every now and then, it's not a terrible thing to have a little bit in the background.
You're supposed to use white noise to go to sleep, so that's probably not a good idea.
I got it backwards, boy. All right. Well, I don't do that, but I do like to have some sound on somewhere.
Wants to get these two fairly even. Now, when it's not even, make the double steep. They couldn't really bring that back any further either. If they slide too much farther back, this hit and roll behind the corner would be shot rock. Still going to play the hit and roll behind the corner, but I think the yellow at the back of the 8-foot will be shot if he makes it.
Yeah, if you weren't going to be able to even those up, then it was better that it go to the back somewhere where there's no potential double or anything like that.
Yeah. But, if it goes much further back, you make this hit and roll and you're shot rock.
Yeah, I see it. That's what you usually think of afterwards.
Yeah, true.
So he's going to make a little roll here.
Close.
Yeah.
Rolls to the edge of the guard, not really behind. And it is still a yellow at the back of the 8-foot shot rock.
Yeah, certainly gettable, but a pretty good effort.
They had the discussion about where they'd like to roll here. It looks like the decision is just to roll back towards the center line. I don't think you want to stay right there. You might see if Totzek knows he's going to get forced and you stay right there, he might just come around it.
Yeah, that's true enough with hammer. A lot of ice here. I don't think he can be playing a lot of weight on this.
Makes the hit. The shooter comes across to the other side of the 4-foot. Probably rolled a little farther than he would have liked.
Yeah, I think so. A fair bit of ice for this shot. I thought he might go after the double, but I guess he's just going to try to maybe hit and sit in front of the other yellow.
Yeah, when this is your first stone, if you go after the double, you're losing the shooter, and Glenn goes around the corners and you're forced anyway.
Yeah.
So you're making the hit, try to roll in front of the yellow. If for Glenn to make a pass at it, there's a chance he rolls out, and then you've got a shot at the blank. I don't think he's rolling towards the yellow.
No, just right on the nose.
Now, he still might get a chance for the double for the blank because with where that redstone is, Glenn can't roll to the other side of the center line. He'll risk jamming it.
Exactly.
I think if you're Glenn, you probably want to try to roll in front of your own stone. And then for Totzek to try the double, he probably has to stay in the rings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that would be the thought here. He doesn't seem to be somebody who likes to take a lot of ice on these hits, although the shot before he had a lot of ice to get the one behind the guard. So I got to be careful here. This doesn't curl too much on him.
True. Yeah, that's how you get in trouble. You could jam it if he noses it. Did you say you had a chance to do one of the games for the Totzek team earlier?
No, I did the Venance game.
Okay. And I haven't done them either, so I don't know. I don't know the team at all. It'll be interesting if he hits it right on the nose. Will they go after the blank? Well, we're about to find out.
Yeah, I think he's down 1-0. I think you take your point and call it a day. The blank's going to be pretty difficult.
Looks like he's just playing
go after the blank and still get your one. That would be okay. I just don't.
Yeah, no, to get the blank, you're probably over the top, right? Don't you think?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're not holding the shooter if you're playing that.
Might have to make sure he gets to the nose here, though, to score.
Yeah, his indication was he's looking to roll in, and obviously just a sliver, because if you roll much more than that, you could dead jam it.
Yeah, but for sure. Yeah. So for what looks like a fairly simple shot, there's a little more to it than that.
Well, that's another one that we could say the same thing we said last time. He certainly can't hit it on the broom side. He doesn't have any room to roll away from center.
No.
It looks to me like nose might be just good enough. But I thought he indicated he thought they needed to roll a hair to the inside.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Well, they're looking to curl, so that means he's still on the outside. He'll get to the nose. I don't think he got enough. Well, then he was right. He needed to roll.
I might measure this. Nope.
I think it's yellow. And I think Toley's the third. I think he had said yellow. So if they're kicking him off without measuring, I think it's a steal of one for Glenn Venance, and he now has a 2-0 lead. Totzek will still have last rock in the third.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Indeed, it was a steal of one. Glenn Venance now with a 2-0 lead as we begin play here in the third. Sixten Totzek just a little off on that last hit, needed a roll in.
Yeah, he didn't have to
And as
curl
we start
much.
things off here in the third, we see a a center line guard that split the center. Corner guard stops. Looking like it might have slid right into the rings there, but it does stop short.
Well over there.
Matt Tolley now looking to come around wide from the out turn side. Get in behind the center. Not much out of the brushers early. They pick it up a little bit. He's still got lots of room. Really moving as it comes into the rings. They don't want to pop out in the open.
Right, look at that.
Stops mostly in behind cover. If anything, there's a third available on the other side of the guard. Give them the chance to roll behind the corner guard. They're not going to play it just yet. Try to follow that down, sit on the face of it first. Magnus Suter, we believe, is the lead. Looking to follow that stone down.
Think he's going to get there, is he?
There's a good look at the back of the jersey. So we know we got the right guy now anyway.
Yeah.
Not able to get right down to the face of the Yellowstone, but he does have them lined up.
Oh, the guard.
Venance continues to sit shot rock. Asking Eric Colwell to come around the longer guard and just stagger the guards, really, more than anything else. Don't think they wanted this right down to the red.
No, it was a little bit hard to tell, but I thought he just kind of tapped a foot or two short of the rings there. And something like we got to hit rack. That's not too helpful.
Crashes the front one. That's a bit of a bad break. So now an opportunity for the Totzek team to play either the short run or possibly the split on the two reds.
Yeah.
Hard to make the split, though. Hard to get by the guards with that kind of weight. So looking to play the short run, red onto yellow. You can hit this just slightly off the nose either way. You might be able to get both reds in behind guards. They'll roll opposite directions, but get one in for shot behind the corner. Looking for the curl here, so trying to run the raised stone across the face of the yellow. They'll get it right on the nose. He does sit two, but leaves them out in the open and a double available. Eric Colwell looking for the double. Crosses the face a hair. I don't think that's the side they were trying to hit it on. Jams it and spills it in behind the corner guard.
That's right, yeah.
Advantage Totzek now.
Yeah, where Totzek would have wanted it on the last shot to end up in there at this point.
chance to hit that stone at the top of the 12-foot, rolling behind the guard that's just a few inches off the center line. He can sit 2 buried. Doesn't have to play it. He's already sitting shot rock. You could draw, but where do you draw?
Well, you could go in, turn around the long yellow, but you just would end up in a special in a specific spot for sure.
Nose hit's not bad here as long as you're biting the 12-foot. I think you would be.
Yeah, I think you would be too.
They've gone back and forth as to which side they need to sweep on. This is really curling. It's going to rub the front one and rubs that stone at the top of the 12-foot, pushes it in behind cover.
I think you needed a little bit more.
That's the second time in this game we've seen a team get caught. Thought they were by. They actually got ready to sweep from the other side and rubs the guard on the way by.
Yeah, a little bit
Does look to me like the red stone is still shot rock, belonging to Totzek.
Yeah, just a little bit surprising after.
Venance looking at the run back.
Yeah.
Sebastian Robillard looking for the nose hit on the yellow. Going to be just a little over the top. Boy, if you needed to run it between those 2 red stones, that would have been a tough shot. Manages to run it between them without killing either one of them. Could have gotten fortunate, actually. If he'd have touched the top one, it could have still come back and got shot rock.
Absolutely.
As it is, Totzek sitting shot. Venance is second. And that second shot stone is buried behind staggered guards. So Joshua Suter being asked to come right around that stone at the top of the 8-foot. Buried behind the 3 yellow stones somewhere in the 4-foot ring.
All kinds of sweepers.
3 brushers on it, trying to get some rings. He's not going to get second shot for sure. Not able to bite the rings at all. So now that shot stone wide open and a chance for Glenn Venance to make a hit on it. Sebastian Robillard, the third. And I think the indication was to try to roll behind that group of overlapped guards in the center line area. He might even have a bite of the 4-foot if he rolls to buried.
Yeah, I think he would.
Eric Colwell on the brush.
It's like probably a nose hit.
Well, they anticipated a little more curl than what they got. They hit right on the nose. It is second shot. Totzek can't be seeing much chance for a blank here, so they're going to play the come around, this time from the intern side.
No more room to work with.
You're a little light on his last attempt. Needs to get shot rock off this one. And both brushers down right away. Not just for the weight either, is this curled early. I don't think he's getting by.
It's really close, but it didn't seem 100%
stayed on the sweep a little bit. Oh, and unfortunate there for the Totzek team. That rock spins back a little bit at the end, and that's really it's tough to make a draw through that port now. He could have used a little bit more of an opening, and I would have liked that stone to keep sliding out to the corner.
Yeah, they didn't seem 100% committed on the sweep call. They were sweeping, but
the way those curl coming into the rings, by the time you're by that red one, it's hard to get by the yellow at the top of the 8. So Glenn looking to come around the wide side. You can come right to the top of the 4-foot. That's great if you're buried. But if you stop right between the Q and the U in frequency and the frequency hearing logo, I'm not sure how Sixten Totzek gets in. Look at where they have to put the broom to make this.
yeah, I haven't seen it out that far.
He's got it up on the boards. So Glenn Venance going way out wide with the draw attempt here. As much as anything else, trying to take the draw path away. But would like to bite the 8-foot if he could. He's got nice line. He's more worried about the line than getting into the rings there. And it will... Basically, it guards the edge of the 8-foot, but it takes away the draw path on that side.
I think that intern draw is still there through the port. It's just...
So Totzek will have to try that intern draw again. There is room, but it's a tight port, tighter than it looks now to get by the redstone tight to the rings and then still get by the yellow at the top of the 8-foot. Big shot here for Totzek. His first stone in the 3rd end, trailing by 2. He does have last rock. Facing 2, and as much as neither one of them has even quite full 8-foot, if he doesn't get one in here, he may not have a way in with his last one. And this starting to curl early too.
I don't know if he's got enough weight to get there.
He'll be by the guards, but I don't think he's getting by the stone at the top of the 8-foot. And it will roll just fully open. And if Glenn hits that on the nose, he'll be sitting 3. Nothing even full 8-foot. And I'm not sure how he gets in. They might be worried they could leave a triple, but you could roll 2 inches broom side, and I don't think that's a problem.
No, and I think it's almost no matter where it goes, I think the triple will be difficult.
I don't think you want to roll into your own. I mean, they're worried about leaving the triple, so they're thinking roll into their own stone, but that'll leave the same draw, and now there's more room because he did move the yellow over. I think if you just roll 2 inches broom side, I don't think you can hit thin enough on either side of it to play a double. This needs to curl. He's going to make the hit. He does roll into his own stone and will nudge it over. But that does leave the port for the draw one more time. A little bit more room now.
big shot here.
A little bit more room. Still not what you would call a lot of room. This is a tough draw.
Yeah, these 3-foot
Down
ports
two, facing three. He's got to make the port. Needs to get full 8 foot here. Final stone, Sixten Totzek. Looking for the in-turn draw through the port. Nothing out of the brushes early. Now sweeping for curl. They got to be careful about doing that too early. I think they're going as much now for weight as anything else.
He's good.
Between the guards, he's between the yellow ones. Sixten Totzek brings his final stone into the corner of the 4 foot. He'll pick up a single point here in the third end of play. Glenn Venance has a 2-1 lead, and he will have last rock when we come back for the fourth.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Ashland Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Ashland Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at ashland.com.
Fourth end underway. Nice draw by Totzek to finish off the third, pick up his single point. Asking for the long center guard here as we begin play in the fourth. Magnus Suter with the long center, and does look like he's got a piece of that center line. We came back from the break just in time to see that shot finishing up, so I'm not sure if they called for it tighter than that. I expect we're going to see a second center guard anyway. Matt Tolley looking to come around. Likely doesn't want to be that deep on this one. It is a long guard. Bite the top eight's probably good. Well, they're sweeping it to bring it in a little tighter. They do bring it in for a piece of the 4. Totzek talking about coming right down to it, even moving it. I'm a little surprised here he's not throwing a second center guard. That long one's not protecting anything. Not sure if that might be part of the discussion from the other end. They discussed a few things. It looks like they have decided, though, they're going to come down to the face of that yellow stone, the shot stone. Got a nice line coming in, both brushers on it. They'd like to be right down to the face of the yellow if they could. That's a really nice shot by Magnus Suter.
Shawn, just checking in here. I didn't know.
Matt Tolley being asked to come down, sit on the face of it again. This will be one where you want to get the line first, and if the line's good, they might sweep it for a couple of inches tap just to break that existing freeze.
Shawn, are you able to hear me at all?
Well, that come around to the top of the 8 foot. Looking to come down and jiggle those stones around. This is going to be short. Glenn was looking at playing a double peel on the guards. Now, he does have shot rock here, but he's also got last rock, and he might like to open up the center line. That was his first thought anyway, but looks like they're going to play the come around. Boy, and they might have lost. Oh, they just get it by. They were a little scared to sweep. It was a little deep. It's just fully behind the tee line. So sits 2 now. Totzek looking at trying to follow that stone down, though. If he can sit right on the face of it, he'd be shot rock. Would probably have the pinhole covered. And then you might see Glenn have to try to clean up the middle a little bit just to make sure he's got a shot here. This still has to be made. This is a tough shot. He's not working with a lot of real estate here. Jean Lucia Hogg. Apologies for any mispronunciation on that name. Looking for the come around here, needs to sit on the face of the stone that was just delivered. Both brushers down on this. Gonna have to go for both line and weight. Just sits beside his own rock and probably just deep enough. If that sits a little bit higher, you could probably double the reds. I mean, you might be able to. It's hard to say right now. If you hit that on the outside, does it touch the other red or does it go directly onto shot rock? Probably a little risky to play it that way. Could simply hit that stone. It was just delivered. You want to hit it just a slight bit on the inside of the nose. Leave your shooter staggered on the other red stone. Drive it by the one at the back. It's risky. Looking at playing this as a draw, actually. I think. No mics on the player, so it's hard, but the way Glenn was indicating, play into the pocket of the two red stones, and if you're a little short in the 12-foot, you still take away anything that they might have. Well, now even indicating perhaps a guard. Not sure you want to be throwing a guard with center guard with last rock. Right into the pocket, but you got to make it. Again, tapping the ice as though a guard could be okay. Eric Colwell. I believe the call was for a tight guard. And plan B is in the house into the pocket. And Matt Tolley has his hand up right away, saying this might be a little strong. Line looks good. They're trying to bring it in now. Actually might touch off their own stone. They needed that to hold a little straighter. I think he's left him enough of that red stone that it can be tapped up into the 4-foot area. Can't see quite all of it. It does look like there's a little bit of room between the reds. I don't think there's any way you can hit enough, a thick enough piece of that red to drive it by everything. It's probably coming into the yellows at the the yellow at the back at the very worst. This is going to be all about the weight. Already facing two without last rock. Joshua Suter looking for the tap back. And this is a long ways out there. He wants to get close to the nose. Doing everything they can for curl. He may not make contact with it at all. He doesn't. But now what do you do if you're Glenn Venance? It's he can't really make a play on that red stone anymore. He can only see enough to jam it onto the yellow. He's gestured a couple of times at some kind of slash on the other side, but to me it looks like all that's going to do is kill second shot. That middle red in the cluster of there's the 2 yellows and the red, and then the 1 red in the middle of it. I don't think there's anywhere you can hit that, but it's just not going to stay right there. Talking about a guard again. This can't be a comfortable feeling when you've got last rock throwing any kind of center guard, because Sixten Totzek has got no choice. He's going to have to come around it. If he makes it, your guard's in the way. Third stones here in the fourth end. This is the first for Sebastian Robillard. Sitting 2, they've got last rock, and they're at the point where they're having to throw center guards. Well, does what he needed it to do, I think. He's got Totzek looking at playing a run. What makes this one interesting is, again, as I said, that middle red isn't going anywhere. He can kill second shot out of this and perhaps end up sitting second himself. If he makes this, though, I'm not sure he doesn't leave Venance a double on the 2 reds to sit maybe as many as 4. You may only get 1 yellow out of the rings on this as well. So looking to drive the yellow guard across the top of the yellow at the top of the 12-foot back into the red, which would kill second shot. Drives it by everything, though. Will likely look to replace the guard now. This is where I wish I had a telestrator here. There's going to be a lot of angles in this house. It's hard to describe them all. First things first, he's got to make the guard. This one's a long ways out there. Should move now. Question of how tight this is to the rings. Well, that guard's a little bit tighter, and that'll make the over the top onto that first yellow a little tougher, if that's what he wants to play again. Come around is still there. It's kind of an all or nothing shot, though. He's looking at it. I think they've also looked at the run back on the yellow guard to try to catch the. I'll look at the overhead now. He's looking at running it back onto the red that's on the left hand of the sheet by itself. If you hit it perfect, you could run yellow on the red onto shot rock at the back of the button. The problem is if you catch that first red a little thin, it probably touches the red beside it and comes right by everything. And then Venance will have a chance to come in and sit 3. So he's going to play the draw. And the way this curls, it's I mean, this shot's there. He could make it. He could bury behind that. Well, really, he could actually bury behind the red stone at the top of the 8-foot for shot rock. He doesn't have to be anywhere near the guard. Just think about trying to put this just top tee. Let the brushers try to bring it in to the line you need. Big shot here for Sixten Totzek, trailing by 1. His first stone in the 4th end without last rock, facing 2. Really curling, and it's not just the guard. He's got to get by his own in the rings. They had to brush it a little bit for line. Now will it stop in time? Stops in time to sit 2nd, I think. Looks like 2nd to me. So Glenn looking to draw. Now, I didn't see the call here. You might want to leave this in front of the tee line. If you can get just full 12, or pardon me, full 4-foot, sit 2. Again, I don't know what Totzek would do. I guess it might depend on how the angles sit after it's done. You come right down to the back one, and you could try to move it, sit 3. The problem then is Totzek follows it down again, sits on the face of it, and your end might be gone. In fact, it could be a steal. Robillard has his brush down right away. Now both of them going. Room by the front one. This one might be a little light. They're going to have to go for weight. Has to get by the stone at the top of the 8-foot. Oh, great job by the brushers. They just get it by that stone at the top of the 8-foot and pull it in far enough that he appears to be sitting 2 right now. Now, I mentioned that it might depend where the angles are. Now, for Sixten Totzek, running that yellow guard into the red. As long as he makes contact with the red, there's no way the red is going through without hitting something. And there is still the possibility, if he hits it absolutely perfect, he could run yellow onto red, onto the yellow shot stone at the back of the button. And it would be totally buried. There's a few options depending how he hits this. Still got to be close to the nose, maybe just a sliver on the hair side, or on the high side, pardon me. He's looking at yellow onto red. If you hit it on the nose, the red would come off the side of the other red, probably make contact with the one that was just thrown. Not sure if it still spins onto shot rock off that. Ideally hits this just a hair on the high side. Hits that red stone as thick as he can. Puts it right between the 2 yellows onto shot stone at the back of the button. Huge shot here in the 4th end. Sixten Totzek down by 1, facing 2.
Whoa.
Look at the yellow rocks fly. He did put off the side of the one, killed 3 yellows, and when the dust clears, Sixten Totzek sitting 3, shot rock a corner of the button well behind cover. Drove the yellow into the red, touched the side of the other red enough to kill the 3 yellows that were closest to the rings and sits 3 himself. And this is the reason why I don't like center guards with last rock, because now Glenn Venance looking to come around a guard that it's just been exchanged, but it was a guard that they basically put there in the first place, and he's got to get a good solid piece of the button to even score here. Full forefoot to hold them to 1. And this is out there. I think they're thinking it's got a curl, and at the same time they don't want to sweep it because they know it's heavy. It's 2 for sure. It's a question of how far back this is going to go now. Will hang on to just nibble the back of the forefoot. It's going to be a steal of 2 for Sixten Totzek. He now takes a 3-2 lead after 4 ends of play. Venance with last rock in the 5th.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardlines Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline, join the revolution.
And I can hear somebody. I just can't see anything.
Up,
Managed to make the double peel, but shot stone still at the top of the 12-foot. Totzek looking for the come around on the corner. Actually, I think looking to chip out the tight corner guard. Gets a piece of it. He'll leave it in play, but his shooter rolls to the button in behind his own stone, top 12. Eric Coldwell. Chance to make the double. Gonna dead jam the second one. Does leave his shooter at the top of the 12. A little bit of a tough situation now for Totzek. His first thought was to hit the yellow. You hate leaving opposition rocks in play when you don't have last rock. But to hit the yellow, he's got to roll away, and then he leaves shot stone exposed. Talking about the guard now as a possibility. Apologies, we have had some technical issues with the announcer audio. It wouldn't have affected anything that you've seen at home, but Jim Nix, I understand we've lost his feed, so I want to thank Jim for joining me for the first part of the game. Jim will be back tomorrow. Well, looking for the guard, and that's actually a great result. He got tight to that yellow, so not really any chance to drive the red over the yellow and have it come straight back. Thinking about playing it like a draw weight split. Red onto yellow, tap the yellow up into the rings. Try to roll his shooter in as well. Still going to leave the red one protecting a fair chunk of shot rock, but if he can sit second and third, Totzek likely has to make a play on one of the yellows. Plan B. That was not the call, but it works out not bad. He comes by the two stones at the top of the house, moves shot rock to the back 12. It is still the Totzek stone that's shot rock, but second and third belong to Venance, and now nothing in the 4-foot. Totzek does have last rock as we play here in the 5th. Or pardon me, lost track of who's throwing which color. Our scoreboard's not in the same order as the one on the back of the rink. Totzek up one. It is Venance with last rock here. Talked at great length about the come around, but that red-yellow are very close together. They're probably a little concerned about leaving a lined up run back. So they're going to make a play on the stone at the back of the 12-foot. They can see most of it, and it's a long guard, so they don't have to be anywhere near the guard to make the play on it. If they can stay on the nose, be sitting 2. Right out of his hand, they're already sweeping from the offside looking for curl. Have to think that might not have been the greatest release. Good job by the brush. Makes contact, rolls across, does stick for enough of the 12-foot to sit 2. Might have left the flat double. There's only about 5 feet between them. It's thick. The other option here, you could just nose hit, hope that they nose hit again, and then you'll have a better angle for the double. On the brush right away. Has to hit this fairly thick to make contact with the second one. It's just going to touch the first one, enough to kill it. Shooter rolls out of play as well. Totzek looking at the draw. I think Suter looking at, should we just hit this and make sure we get the force? You could hit red onto yellow, roll your shooter into the rings. You'd have nothing better than full 12-foot, but you wouldn't likely be worried about a deuce. Come around is the best result as long as you make it. Well, this is the shot he wanted to play, and you're never unhappy when the skip wants to throw a draw. That's always a good sign. It usually means he feels like he's got the weight. He's been close on most of his draws for weight. Line can be a little bit tricky when it curls this hard, but they know they don't have to come that tight by a rock, even when it's top 12, to get buried top 4. Sometimes I wish we had mics on the players so we could hear what they were talking about, how these discussions were going. In this case, they're probably speaking German, and I wouldn't be able to understand them anyway. I think he got outvoted from the other end, though. The come around's a great result if you make it. It absolutely is. It's a chance to steal a point. But you're up 1 here, playing 5. If you hit the red onto the yellow, roll your shooter into the rings, it's likely a force. And that's a pretty good result. He's looking to... This is not the side I would be looking to hit this on if it was me. You're not getting both reds into the rings like this, and you're probably leaving a double pretty close to straight back. Unless he's going to try... Maybe he's trying to spill the red in behind the corner guard. So looking to hit just a hair on the center, or on the broom side. Red onto yellow, and then spill the red over in behind the corner guard. Try to sit 2 that way. Actually fortunate that it had the yellow kicker over there. Goes into that, and even at that, hard to tell if that rock's in the rings or not. I do not know if that was the best way to hit it, but it's hard for them to tell for sure if that's in, and if there's a possibility it's in. Glenn might have to play this for a single point, or I guess you could draw now if you think it's in and try to get your deuce. Where he's got the broom, it looks like he's making a play on the back one. Everybody's had a look at it. I saw somebody look at the center hole, trying to determine if they think the center hole is right where the tee line and the center line intersect. Every once in a while, the lines on the ice kind of make it look like the center is out one way or the other. Glenn is looking at making a hit on the backstone, so I think he thinks it's out. But I don't think his team is 100% confident. He's going to make a play on the back one, try to stay right there. Then I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Totzek team take a look at that rock and see if they think it's in or out. Not that it really will affect their call. They'll have to make a play on shot rock. Glenn Venance with the quiet hit, comes down, nose hits that red at the back of the 12. Robillard takes another look. Venance takes another look. Totzek's going to try to make a play on shot rock at the back of the 8-foot if he can hit it. Stay right there. The Venance team will have to take another look yet around the outside, because they'll have to make a decision whether they're playing for the blank or playing for the single. Final stone for Sixten Totzek here in the 5th end. Without last rock, looking to hit this stone at the back of the 8-foot. Just needs to stay right there. Glenn seems pretty confident this is out. He's put the broom down like he's going to whip this down here and play for the blank. I wouldn't be surprised to see the measuring stick come out. In fact, you can see already Joshua Suter looking around to see where it is. They'll need the 6-foot measure to pass it around the outside. First things first, though, Glenn's got to make the hit and roll out. Well, they're on the brush right away. He had tight ice here. Well, we're not going to find out if that one is in or out, because Glenn is going to stick around on that last shot. Don't know if he needed to do that or not. We'll never find out. Glenn Venance picks up the single point here in the 5th end. We're all tied up 3 apiece. Sixten Totzek will have last rock in the 6th.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardlines Ice Band has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline, join the revolution.
Come on up.
Okay, Will. What do you got? You got one, you got two, you got...
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Ashland Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Ashland Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at ashland.com.
Center line guard thrown up to start this sixth end, splitting the center. Magnus Suter will look to throw the corner guard. Not moving a lot early. He's got to be careful. Touches that yellow off the line. Does just get by it. Quite a bit heavy on this, though. That was supposed to be a corner guard. He's in the back of the 8-foot. Gives Matt Tolley a chance to come around his center guard with his second stone. Room by the front one. Comes into the top 4-foot, but there's a good look at it. At least half a rock out into the open. Need to come by those guards a little wider still. So much movement coming into the house. Probably by the guard by a rock's width, and by the time it stops at the top 4, he's half a rock out into the open. Magnus Suter will look to come down from the other turn now and see if he can get to the face of shot rock. And same problem here. He's got to be careful to get by that guard, move it off the center line. That would be a no-tick zone violation. Brusher's really going to have to work to get this by. He's not getting by. Now, how far will he move it? It does move off the center line. So the rule is that stone is put back. The shooter is removed from play. It's the same as a free guard zone violation. Cannot move a stone off the center line in the free guard zone in the first 5 rocks of an end. Now, if that rock was dead buried, you might see Venance just make a play on the redstone at the back of the house just to make sure that he doesn't give up a big end here, but hard to do that when they can still see half of that yellow. They can come after it with more weight the next time too, so they're going to try to follow it down. Eric Colwell, out-turn draw again. He could sit right on the face of the yellow stone, maybe a little to the inside corner so that it's more buried. Sit 2, even if he's just full 12. It would act like a second guard. This has got a lot more room. They might be coming by everything now. This is a plan B call when they realized it was warm. Back of the 4-foot, dead buried. That was the 5th rock of the end, so if they crash the guard this time, no penalty. Would like to get by the front one though, make a play on that stone at the top of the 4-foot. Doesn't even necessarily need to kill it, but he has to deal with the stone at the top of the 4-foot. It's the one causing him all the grief right now. Jean-Lucia Hag. And again, they really have to go to get it by. Not going to get it by. Chips off the guard. Sixten out to help the brush. They're trying to spin it into the rings. And they do get a good piece of the 12-foot. So guard is off the center line. Shot and second shot, front and back of the 4-foot belong to Venance. But third and fourth belonging to Totzek. He does have last rock here in the 6th. And now Colwell being asked to throw the guard. And these are tough. This is where you really have to match the weight up to the broom, and that sounds like a simple thing, but you're not just throwing a guard, just lobbing it anywhere over the hog line. If he's iced him for a tight guard and you throw it long, it won't have enough time to curl as far as it needs to. If you're looking for halfway and he throws it tight, it'll over curl. Was looking for it to stop there, and that's the problem. You throw it a little tighter than what you're looking for, and it does over curl. I think probably protected enough of it that there won't be a double. Sixten looking at running the guard back. He might be able to get all three of them. There is maybe a little risk of one of them coming onto the red at the back, but if you clear the center line, you take that for now. It's there to get all three of them. Probably lose the shooter. Be awful greedy to try to roll the shooter over for a corner guard and get all three of them, but it might be there. It's close. It's going to over curl, I think. He'll make contact with all three of the rocks, but leaves two of them in. Both full 8-foot. The back one might even have a bite of the 4. So Venance still sitting 2. Nothing on the center line now, so not looking as good for a steal. They perhaps are a little bit worried about leaving too many reds around. Thinking about hitting 4th shot, trying to roll into the 8-foot. Now talking about the hit and a big roll to try to sit a third one somewhere in that 4-foot area. Could just play the straight back double too. The danger in playing this hit and roll in, you kind of have to make sure you roll in to be at least third. If you roll to the top of the 4-foot on the center line, you actually might leave a triple. So Sebastian Robillard looking to play the hit, roll in towards the middle. Well, this might be plan B now. Just touches it. Comes across, kicks his own Slides across, moves the red as well. When the dust clears, it's still Venance sitting 2. And still both of those 2 partly behind cover. And 2 red biters hanging around the 12-foot. There is a thin double on the yellows. You don't have to play it. You don't have to play it yet, anyway. Could just play the hit on that stone at the top of the house, roll over towards the other one, sit in front of it somewhere. Looks like that's the call. And if you're a little thin on the first one, you actually could make the double here. I don't think that's the call, though. Just the hit and roll. So hitting the stone on the right hand of the side as we look at Totzek. Trying to roll across towards the one at the back of the 8-foot. We're on the brush right away. Looks like he's by the guard. Now they'll sweep for some curl. Very thin on the first one. Too thin. Will get the Yellowstone out of play, but just misses the back one. Boy, that wouldn't have needed to hit it much thicker, and he gets the double. Shooter did not miss that back stone by much. So Venance again looking at making a hit on the red, the top of the 12-foot. Roll the shooter in. If you wanted to throw this with some weight, there's a chance you could make the double and roll in. Looks like with where they're putting the broom, that might be the way they're going about it. Needs to hit it just off the center, on the center line side, with some weight. Clip the red at the back on the way by. It looks like they're just playing the straight hit and roll. Makes the hit, but will roll past the guard. The double is probably there, and you could maybe try to roll behind the yellow on the other side. And there's probably just enough room there. You could come by the red guard, make the hit on the Yellowstone that just rolled over, and roll in behind the red. Don't think you'd be shot rock. Now, maybe. Guess it depends how far you roll. If you're just in behind the red guard, you're probably shot rock. Joshua Suter. Quiet weight hit. Trying to hold it straight, but they'll be ready once they're sure they're by. There you see them make the switch. Try to get enough curl at the end to get inside. Stays right there. Maybe got ever so slightly to the inside. Doesn't look like there's as much air between the red guard and the stone in the rings now as there was a second ago. Tough thing here for Glenn Venance is that he cannot roll to the broom side. If he does, he's jamming out of his own stone at the back of the 8-foot. He's got to get to the nose here. Or to the inside if he could. There's a little bit of room. You hit this one right on the nose, and now the double starts to look pretty good. Skip stones here in the 6th end. First one for Glenn Venance. We're all tied up. Making the play on shot stone. Just gets by the front one. Drives it by and not able to get a roll underneath, but now just where he made contact with that, the edge of his stone probably under the guard. Does Totzek think he can still see enough to make the double? To make the double, you got to drive it almost straight back. To go first yellow over the top of the second yellow, you'll never get it past the red on the edge of the 12-foot. So he's got to hit really everything he can see here. Drive the yellow back to the inside corner of that yellow that's behind the guard. Split the two yellows out. Shooter will roll just a hair towards the center line. He might be able to sit two off this. Little back on the release, so they've got the offside sweeper on already, trying to get curl. Really needs a lot of curl here. He's in danger of driving this onto his own stone. Did jam it onto his own stone at the back 12. Rolls the shooter across and out of the rings. Did hit another stone that was off the rings there, so the red's still in play. Just two stones left to come now. Venance probably at least has the force. Wondering, is there any way we can set up a steal here when we don't have a way to protect the middle? But I like what they're looking at now. If you could draw one to split the center line just biting the 8-foot, how does Sixten Totzek get in? I don't think you want to be off center. They're talking now about off center, try to protect the path to the back one. The problem is you leave a big port on the in-turn. I think if you could split the center line, which you hard to do that from the out-turn, you'd have to play the in-turn likely to get there. So not looking to bury this, I don't think. Just fully out in the open. Bite the 8-foot at the top. You'll force Totzek to try the in-turn draw through the port that'll be left. Pressures with a hand up indicating this might be a little strong. He doesn't want to slide in far enough that a nose hit would get shot rock. This needs to stop. Now they realize it's not going to stop, so let's try to bury it. Comes to rest just about fully 4-foot. Mostly out in the open. Totzek going to look to play enough weight to move it. Well, with that ice, you got to think he's playing hack to bumper. And again, hate to repeat myself too much, but this is one where he's really got to match the weight to the broom. A lot of surfaces you can get away with just being close on a finesse weight, but if he's iced this for hack weight and throws bumper, it'll run very straight. He could roll out. He's iced it for hack weight and he only throws back line. He could rub the front one. You'll see one of the brushes or the other make a quick indication as to the weight when he lets go. And it's all up to the line caller. Final stone, 6th then, tie game. Sixten Totzek playing a little tap back against 3. And they're looking for curl. He's going to make contact, but now it's a question of how far will he roll. Oh, and he gets a little spin back at the end. That's enough. Totzek will pick up the single point here in the 6th end. They take the 4-3 lead. Venance will have last rock in end number 7.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
John Joyce with you here live. A lot of swings in this game, both ways, really. C event qualifying action, Hack2House Alberta Curling Series Men's Major on Curling Stadium Beaumont. A lot of momentum swings, but still close on the scoreboard. Totzek with the single point after it stopped just in time with the 4-3 lead as we begin play here in the 7th. Venance with the last rock, and the center guard attempt again over curls the center line. Matt Tolley looking to come around is short of the rings. It is biting the center line. Have to think with Venance looking for that stone into the rings around the center. He's thinking blank end here. Sixten Totzek looking for the come around to the top of the 4-foot. Sweeping for some curl. He'll get it to curl enough to bury, but by sweeping it that hard does bring it to the back 4 just behind the button. Totzek probably thinking here a single point for either team works pretty good for him right now. Matt Tolley will look to follow that stone down. Will come, sit right on the face of that, tap it back a few inches. Jean-Lucia Hag now looking to follow that stone down. He would love to get to the inside corner if he could. Sit right on the face of it. This is the 5th stone of the end. So you may see Glenn Venance try to clean up the middle a little bit after this one. Just cleaning early, but looks like they're going a little bit for weight now. He's still got a lot of room. Oh boy, is that a good draw. Comes down to the inside corner. Only a couple of inches of separation. Robillard and Tolley coming down to take a look at the angles, the situation as it sits in the house. I think you kind of have to try to play the double peel, but which way do you make it? It's an awkward angle either way. That's what they're looking at now. You play yellow onto the red. There's a chance of it's coming back into the house. That may be okay. It's very thin to have the shooter come across and catch the second guard. I don't think there's a port. I mean, if you're trying to play the thin double and you miss the yellow altogether, you're still going to pick the red guard. So looking to come down with the outturn very, very thin on the first yellow. Have the shooter come across the top of the red. Kill both guards and spin the shooter all the way out to the side. Don't think there's any chance that the red comes back into the rocks in the rings this way. It should clear everything, but if you can make the double and roll away, that's your best result here. Very, very thin on the first one to make this shot. Not sure he's hitting the first one at all. It will just pick out the red. Problem with that is by leaving the yellow one there, shot rock, or the 2 rocks, I guess, in the 4-foot, top of the 4-foot, still under cover. Shot rock does belong to Glenn Venance. Not a lot of room in there right now to try to score his 2. Totzek is going to play a call a timeout here. Don't know if they have a coach there. If they do, he'll have the chance to make his way out. Guess you'd have to assume they have a coach. Otherwise, there's not really much point in calling a timeout. There's no clocks, so. I think all the discussion so far has been about coming down, sitting on the face of the red. Now, I guess part of that would be which turn do you want to play it from, because they got there in the first place with the in turn. It looks more natural with the out. Coach is there now. The only choices I can see for them really to play is a long guard or the shot that they're talking about, coming down, sit on the face of their own. I don't think there's ever been any discussion of anything other than coming down to sit on the face of their own. So I think part of the issue for them is they're trying just to decide which turn to play. They got there in the first place with the in turn, so you know it'll go. It looks a little more natural to go with the out turn, but the way this ice curls, you can get there from either side, and this is how they got there in the first place. He does, if anything, want to cross the stone in the red stone at the top of the forefoot just ever so slightly to leave red onto yellow, just angled so that middle red wouldn't go anywhere. During the timeout, you saw the Venance team all at the backboards too. And they've probably decided already, if he makes this draw, how do they want to approach it? This is a long ways out there, though. Well, he's going to stay on the broom side of the red. You'd hate to leave a double. Gets down to the corner of his own stone. Would have liked that much on the other corner. Could straight peel the guard, or it looks like with that broom they're going to try to run it back and move something in the rings. The only problem I see with that, you don't want to leave your shooter up there. Looks like they're throwing the in-turn. If you get just to the open side of the sheet, across the face a slight bit, you can drive this yellow over the top of the red that was just thrown. Move a few rocks, you're going to lose yours off the corner of the button, but it's probably not that safe now. Boy, you sure don't want to hit it on the other side. Rattled a few rocks around, gets everything off the button area, does leave two yellows in the rings. But also leaves Totzek for shot. Joshua Suter being asked to make a play on the stone that I believe is second shot. It's probably close for second, whether it's this one. I think it's this one, the second shot, and then roll across. It's tough not to leave a double on the reds off this, though. Now, if you hit the yellow on the nose, touch the other red, where does it go? Kind of rolled them both together. That's a good result. Gets them both into that button area. And the double would be tough now. Play the run back again. Definitely a way to get both reds moving. I'm just not sure if you get the top one by the yellow at the back of the 8-foot. Looks like he's making a direct play onto the shot stone here. Won't be having a lot of weight on this one. Indication from Matt Tolley is a little more weight than what they called for, so looking for curl. Would have hoped to get close to the nose here. He's going to make contact. Won't get the second red out of the rings. Does leave a double on the yellows. It is still Totzek's shot rock at the back of the forefoot. Could make the double and roll in here. And it starts to look real tough for Venance to get a blank. He's going to have to try to score his 2, I would think, if you make this double and roll. Joshua Suter looking for the double. This needs to curl just a bit. He has to get just across the face. Enough weight with hitting it on the nose. He will squirt it out the side. Totzek sits 3. Venance looking at playing the hit on the stone that was just delivered. Try to roll into the top of the button behind cover. Line's close, gets the hit, rolls across, but actually just to the back half of the button. Might have been better off to just draw there and leave that for later. But that is deep enough that Sixten Totzek, we're on to skip stones now. Sixten Totzek can come down, sit on the face of that stone. He would have the pinhole covered. We're getting late enough in the end. It'll be hard for Glenn Venance to score. This still has to be made, but this draw has been made several times this end. They've got a pretty good idea of the path. Rushers were cleaning it early. That's usually a good sign. They like the weight. Just waiting for the line. You know it's going to move at the end. Nice line coming in. This might be a little strong, though. Sweeping for curl. They don't get quite the curl they need. They will come down, touch that stone, but spins off it enough that the Venance stone, the back of the button, is still shot rock. One just thrown by Totzek is second. Glenn will need to come down, sit on the inside corner of that. Wouldn't likely mind if he could move it just a little bit, just to give himself a little bit more room with his last one. With that ice, he's looking to move it a lot. Has to get to the inside here. Anything on the outside, you'll just dead jam it. You probably leave a double on the yellows. Big shot here for Glenn Venance, his first stone in 7. Trailing by 1, would have loved to have blanked this end. Well, that's out the window, but if he can get a nice hit and roll here, 3 is not out of the question. Makes the tap, oh, if anything, maybe roll just a hair too far. Maybe. Maybe not. He might be okay. Totzek's first thought was to blast the double, but they're close enough together and you can't see it all. I think it drags onto the stone at the back of the 8-foot. He'd lose his shooter doing that and it would be a hit for 2. It does look like if he hits this half a rock, the top yellow goes across the face, misses the red at the edge of the 4-foot, goes across the face and out. It'll be a question of what happens to the back one. You're not going to hold the shooter off this, and if it jams at the back, could still be a shot for 2. 2 is better than 3. Not sure what else you can do here. Quieter, I guess, and try to get close to the nose, just tap it straight back. Still going to be a shot for 2. If he can blast it out off the back one, he's forced him to try to take a single. Doesn't have to get it all the way out either, just has to get it so that that stone at the full 12 on the left-hand side as we look from the overhead. If it's second shot, Venance would have to play for 1 here to just tie things up and then give Totzek the hammer. First things first. Needs about half a rock on the first one with some weight. We'll see how these spill. Well, he might have been back a little bit. Catches the first one very thin, doesn't carry a lot of weight onto the back one. If he hit it thick enough, it looks like it might have spilled, but when it doesn't come back that hard, catches the stone at the back, stays there. And Glenn Venance will have a chance to make the hit on that stone at the back of the 4-foot. Just needs to stay for a bite of the 8 somewhere. He can pick up 2 points and retake the lead here. One more momentum swing in this game. Final stone, Glenn Venance, they're on the sweep right away. Brushers indicating this is quiet. Looking for the nose hit. Now they're just cleaning. That's a good sign. Glenn with the hit. Does jam it on the back stone, but that moves it far enough. Venance picks up 2 here in the 7th end. Retakes the lead. He'll have the 5-4 lead. Totzek with last rock in the 8th.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Ashland Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Ashland Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at ashland.com.
Shawn, Joyce with you here live eighth end of the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series Men's Major on Curling Stadium Beaumont. All of these games here from the Beaumont event available on the Curling Stadium Curling Zone YouTube channel, as well as the Alberta Curling Series YouTube channel. Corner guard looks like it stopped just in time. If that's in the rings, they could have made a play on it. So looking to come around the guard, the center, more center line guard. It's been an entertaining game to watch. A lot of swings back and forth, and no guarantee the way this game has gone so far that this will be the final end. Makes the come around to the side of the 4-foot there. Totzek looking at another corner guard. Looked like perhaps there was a question about trying to split off the center. I think if you're going to try to score your two here, you want to get a longer corner up. Looking for a little more curl here. They'd like to overlap those corners a little bit at least. You saw the indication. Glenn Venance looking for the guard just over the hog line. Try to protect the guard closer to the rings. Then you might see some peels start happening, and really both teams might be looking to clean some things up. Or you might see Totzek try to come around with enough weight to just push that yellow. Well, if you get these guards too close together, you'll try to clean them up. Well, completely overcurled. You could make a play on the tight guard. That's what they're looking at. Might be able to roll into the rings off of it. He's looking at hitting it really thin if he's going to get the roll in behind cover. Your easier way to get a redstone into the rings might be hit the yellow, come across, touch the one close to the rings, and just push it into the 12 foot. It won't be buried, but becomes a tough stone for Glenn Venance to ignore. Not a lot of weight here. Not sure he's killing the yellow one. Just enough to get it through the back of the rings. It'll still be in play. And the shooter stays on the center line. There's probably a port there to get to shot rock. Asking Eric Colwell to throw the long guard and just fill that gap. tough guard to throw. You saw them on the last one. They were looking for the high guard. He was a little bit deep and it over curled. Fills the gap. The two yellows are a little bit close together now. Totzek has to be a little bit careful here. He can't be so worried about trying to get two that he doesn't have a chance to score. He's got to clean up those guards a little bit one way or the other. There is a chance, actually, if you played the double on the yellows, the top yellow when it comes across might push that tight red into the rings. You don't have to throw it, you don't have to whip it down there. I think you got to look at moving two guards here. You need to make sure you have a chance to score. He might be looking at making a play directly onto the red guard. I think you could see enough of it to play red guard onto the yellow in the rings. You make it, you're in great shape. Well, he's thinking triple peel by that indication, and I don't think you want to throw that kind of weight at this. Well, he's throwing some weight at this with that broom. Two-thirds on the first one should be close. Could probably get half. You miss the red stone on the center line, and then it might touch that stone that's just outside the 12-foot and push it into the rings. This is not the weight that I thought they were playing with that broom. They're going to have to jump this. Well, line's holding. This is close. Oh, that was so close to tapping that stone in and actually spun back at the end, but did kill both yellow guards. Shot stone fully exposed right now, still in the 4-foot. That tight red center guard. It's a rock that Totzek could use at any time. Problem now for Venance is it's hard to guard that with a long guard because there's so much curl he can come around. You come under, you don't want to leave a double, so you probably have to bury it. That might leave it a shot directly at shot stone. You can try to Christmas tree this, but there's some air between the red guard and the yellow in the rings now, so it's tough to do both, to get your stone partly undercover and still cover the shot stone. You can do it, but it's tough. It's a whole lot easier when those two stones are edge to edge. You can show half of each one, but that's the call. We're down to third stones here. The 8th end of play. Sebastian Robillard with his first, looking to come in. We're on the brush right away. Both brushers on now, trying to bring it for weight as much as for line. It's actually got really nice line coming in. You have to be careful not to overcurl this. Pretty good. The only problem there is he didn't leave a lot of separation between the red guard and the yellow he just brought in. It's a fairly short run back. If Totzek wanted to play it, it's red onto yellow, and you'd be awfully close to getting the yellow in the forefoot as well, just because of the way they're lined up. That's what he's looking at. You might even be able to roll the raised stone in behind the corners or in behind your shooter at the very least. Boy, even if he doesn't get the stone in the forefoot, if he just runs the red onto the yellow and has that red roll in behind the corner where it's a biter, where it's the potential second point, the potential winning point. This is going sideways early. He might have got that started. Going to be lucky to make contact with the red at all. He's not going to. Fortunate to pick that one out now. Will the shooter hang around? Oh, the big spin back, and it does bite the 12-foot. Well, it creates that same dilemma I was just talking about. Hanging around for a biter is the potential winning point. And I don't know that where it rolls to, Glenn Venance can do much about it. If he's going to go after that stone, he leaves the stone in the middle. He's kind of committed here. This becomes a hard steal situation now. You got to go for it. Your shot stone's not buried, and you're coming around the opposition's guard. You're only one run back away from being in all kinds of trouble, and you really don't have a choice here. Sebastian Robillard made a really good draw on his first one, did that Christmas tree. He'd like that same line, but maybe a foot and a half deeper, just so there's more separation on that top red. Once again, he's got nice line coming in. Looks like a little deeper this time. That's a better shot. The first one was okay. That one's much better. Suter and Totzek looking at making a play on the stone that was just delivered. Probably looking at trying to throw just enough weight to pass it through the rings and have the shooter sit in front of the other yellow. And did they go back to playing the run back over the face, across the face on the red, back into the yellow? I think with the broom, that must be what they're playing. Starting to curl already. Needs to get just a sliver across the face. They might have lost the line here. Well, dead jams the back one. That's not a bad result. He actually rolled his shooter with the stone that rolled over. Starting to curl already. Needs to get just a sliver across the face. They might have lost the line here. Well, dead jams the back one. That's not a bad result. Totzek sits second and third. For Glenn Venance to make a play on second shot stone, he's going to have to roll over towards his shot rock too and could leave a double. Doesn't really have much else he can shoot at though. He's got no guards that he can get around right now. Don't think he can see enough of that to not roll broomside somewhere. If he leaves a double on the yellows, what he's got to hope is that Totzek leaves him a double back. Makes the hit, rolls across, touches his own stone. Oh, and that's... By touching his own, he actually came across the top of the red. Mind you, if he didn't touch his own, he might have rolled out. There was probably room to go between the yellow and the red if he doesn't touch his own stone coming across. I think it would have just rolled out the back of the rings, and when he touches his own, he goes over the top of the red. Totzek looking at the hit and roll on the yellow. Hit and roll in behind the guards. The problem with that, you're probably behind the tee line if you're buried. Hasn't talked about it yet, but he could just straight draw around his own stone. Top of the 4-foot buried. He'd be shot rock. They're talking about can they hit, stay right there and not leave the double. That's what you saw Joshua looking. Would it be high enough to leave the flat double? And it probably would. You roll behind the guard. You'll be behind the tee line. And Glenn can draw in front of yours and take the end away. If they hit and roll maybe just a foot towards the center line, it won't leave the double. Glenn will try to hit and roll behind cover, and there are two red stones there. The center guard and then the one tight to the rings, just outside the rings. I think you're going to see, if that's the case, if that's the exchange of stones, I think you'll see Sixten Totzek try some kind of a run back with his last one, go for the win. Depends entirely on the exchange of the next two stones. Totzek with his first, looking for the hit on shot stone. Looking to roll far enough he doesn't leave a double. And this is going to roll big. Rolls to the back of the 4-foot. It is mostly open. Probably about 12 feet between the guard and the stone at the back of the 4-foot. If he's going to try to pass it through the rings, he's got to get to the inside to roll under cover. Could just freeze to it. That's a thought. It's a tough shot. If he's going to over curl the back one, there is room to get to the tee line dead behind cover and still be shot rock. So looking to freeze the back stone. Final stone here in this 8th end for Glenn Venance without last rock. Totzek sitting 2 right now. Needs to sit right on the face of the back stone. Sweeping for curl, it looks like a lot of weight as well. Sits on the corner, but he left him the nose hit on that yellow stone. Even if he loses the red, keep his shooter. And he's got that biter on the outside edge. He can see all of it in a little bit of daylight. Really nice weight there for Glenn. Just needed that to curl a bit more. Sixten Totzek has room to get this out. He'll lose his own stone, the one right behind it, but he only needs 2 to win here. If he makes the nose hit, his shooter stays there. And that biter out on the edge of the 12-foot would be the second point, the one he needs to win. Final stone for Sixten Totzek. Needs the nose hit for the win. Might have got that going a little bit. They've got to jump the brush. His line looks great. Got to hold it. He can get across the nose a little bit and he's fine. Doubles the 2 out of the 4-foot. Keeps his shooter for 1, and that stone at the edge of the 12 is the second point, the one that Sixten Totzek needs to pick up the win here. He'll take the 6-5 final over Glenn Venance, and with that, Totzek moves into the championship round tomorrow morning. We'll have all of the championship action for you here on Curling Stadium Beaumont. Action starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, Mountain Time. 3 rounds tomorrow, quarterfinals in the morning, the semis at noon, and the finals at 3 in the afternoon. We want to thank you for joining us here tonight. My name is Shawn Joyce. Glad to see you tonight. We'll look forward to seeing 3 more great draws tomorrow.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.